Hey guys, welcome to the NRL Round 8 betting trend preview and early thoughts for all 8 games coming up this weekend in the NRL. I'm going to go through my early thoughts, what the odds are for each game and what the odds were last time these sides met, and any betting trends that have occurred between such as games going over under the totals in their previous meetings, certain teams covering, certain teams having good records, those kind of things, and most importantly, what bets I'm considering making for the upcoming round. Before we get into that, though, I just want to quickly review the games from last week in round 7. Quite a few blowouts last week, and also coming up this weekend, we have a number of large, either double-digit or close to double-digit spreads for a lot of games. So that's going to be interesting, but quite a few blowouts last week. Home teams won 5 of the 8 games and covered 6 of the 8. The only team who covered but didn't win at home was the Titans, and losing by 4 points to the Seagulls with the line there at around -9.5, -10. The away teams who did cover were the Melbourne Storm as underdogs there against the Roosters on the Thursday night game. Somehow, the Storm were underdogs in that matchup. And then the Dolphins covered against the Eels on the road. Eels, be interesting how they turn up against the Seagulls this week. They were leading this game at halftime and conceded 40 points or close to it in the second half there. Looking at how teams have performed so far this season from a spread perspective, I'll look at the ATS records first. Home sides have covered 32 of the 56 games, and underdogs have covered 33 of the 56 games. So home teams, underdogs performing best so far. Home underdogs especially covered 14 of 19 games in that situation. And then total points last weekend. 5 of the 8 games went over, so the gap's slowly closing there between the over-under. Now 30 games have gone under of the 56. Interestingly, the Tigers, since it's right next to it, all 6 of their games have gone under the total so far this season. They play the Broncos this week, who are a big overside. So potential there for that game to go over. Away from home, Broncos, 2 of their 3 games have gone over. Also, just quickly on the total points as well, the lines were very, very accurate last week. In 4 of the games, the final score was within a couple of points of what the total was for that game. So now looking ahead to round number 8, we'll kick off on Thursday. It's a 2 p.m. game, Queensland time, or Eastern Standard Time now. Daylight savings is gone. With the Warriors at home to the Gold Coast Titans. Warriors in need of a bounce-back performance after what they dished up last weekend. Back at home, I think they can definitely improve against Titan side, who's really struggling this year. However, they have been better the past 2 weeks. The past 6 games between these two sides have gone under the total. However, I think this is really good news because I'm definitely keen on the over in this game. I think they're going to put in a high-scoring game. It's it's pretty much an afternoon game there over there in New Zealand, which doesn't happen all that often due to the time difference. The total last time they met was 47.5, but when they met in New Zealand in 2022, it was 56.5 points and 53 points were scored. The Titans are the worst defensive side in the comp, and so the Warriors, with pressure on them to perform, they can put up points in this game. So as 12.5 point favorites, not really super keen on that, but do like the over 44.5. Dragons versus Roosters are up 3 games on Thursday, so heavy start to the round. This is a bit of an ugly game between these two sides. Dragons are a team that's very hit or miss this season. They won the latest matchup against the Roosters last season, 24-22. The prior game to that was only decided by 1 point. So both games last season were decided by very small margins. The Roosters have a good record, covering 5 of the past 7 against the Dragons, and they've won 9 of the past 11. However, those 2 wins for the Dragons have come in the past 4 meetings, both of them at home as well, which they are in this case. 5 of the past 6 head-to-head have gone over with a total of 43.5. I think it's pretty much right on the money. The stats will push you towards the Roosters, but I don't know if they're deserving to be a 6.5 point favorite. This is a game where I'll be kind of looking for either side 1-12 if I'm going to bet into this game, but likely staying away from a total. I don't think Roosters should be as big as 6.5 point favorite, but don't really want to back the Dragons either. So yeah, looking for a try bet in that game, but potentially could easily be a stay away game because I don't really like it at all. Storm against the Rabbitohs. Rabbitohs coming off the bye here, but they face another tough opposition in the Melbourne Storm. Storm are 14.5 point favorites. So interestingly enough, their last meeting, the Rabbitohs were actually favorite, only a 1.5 point favorite. That game was played at Suncorp during Magic Round. When they last met in Melbourne, Storm were 8.5 point favorites, but that was early round two, 2022. The Rabbitohs have covered 3 of the past 4 versus Melbourne. Don't really love 14.5 point line, but wouldn't be surprised at all if the Storm were to cover it. The only thing that makes me nervous here is the Storm haven't been winning games by big margins. If you look through their results this year, they've been winning a lot of games by 2, 4, 6 points in that range. So to cover a big spread, but the Rabbitohs are really, really struggling this year, and Storm should win this game comfortably. Haven't fully decided how I want to approach this game from a betting perspective as of yet, but Storm to win, potentially look a little bit deeper into first half market as well for that game. So we'll see how we go. The Seagulls versus Eels. I will be posting videos later in the week close to game time with my exact bets. But I like to do this video. I know there's quite a lot of you out there who appreciate it, going through like what the historical odds are, so you can compare, because this information that you're seeing here with, last time they met, the Eels were a 2.5 point favorite. This information is used in order to set the odds for the upcoming games. The game on Friday night is the Seagulls versus Eels. Manly are 9.5 point favorite here. Last time they met, as I said, the Eels were a 2.5 point favorite. You go back to early 2023 for the meeting where the Seagulls were favorites. So the Eels have won the last 2. They met in round 3 this season with the Eels running out winners by 4 points. So interesting, in not that long of a period of time, round 3 to round 8, the Eels have gone from a 2.5 point favorite, obviously at home, now to a 9.5 point underdog. That's pretty significant line movement, even though the home team has been very successful in this matchup, covering 10 of the past 13. I don't want to back the Seagulls at -9.5. However, I do really like the over in this game at 44.5. Would potentially like a slightly lower number, maybe a 42.5. 41.5 would be really ideal. 44.5 still a touch on the high side, and as bettors, we're always looking for the best possible number we can get. But definitely do like the over. 10 of the past 13 between these two sides have gone over the total. The Seagulls definitely capable of putting up plenty of points, and the Parramatta Eels defense ranked 14th in the league. The other thing that makes this game a little bit tricky is how the Eels are going to be coming out after and being embarrassed by the Dolphins last week in the second half, and conceding that many points. But the thing I like about both these sides, both of them are capable of scoring points very quickly, and they're also capable of conceding points very quickly, which those two factors contribute to games going over the total almost more than anything else. Tigers versus Broncos. Broncos big favorites here, coming off a big win against Canberra, 11.5 point favorites. However, you look a little bit deeper into this matchup, you'll notice that Tigers have covered 5 of the past 6, and they've also won 4 of the past 5 against the Broncos. Brisbane won in round 5 last season, a 16.5 point favorites. Prior to that, the Tigers won all 4 of those games. These sides only meet once each season. Interestingly, when they last met in Sydney at Leichhardt Oval here, the Tigers won 48-0 against the Broncos. And that day, Tigers were a 6-point favorite for that matchup. Don't think the Tigers are completely out of it. Broncos do need to improve their performances on the road. So with close to a 2 converted try line, I don't mind the Tigers at the plus here, but probably a game I don't really want to get too involved in. Cowboys against Penrith. Cowboys back at home after 2 games on the road. Panthers coming off the win against Tigers, we just spoke about last week. Penrith, 9.5 point favorites. Realistically, statistically wise, should win this game and should win it fairly comfortably. I'm slightly wary of the Cowboys getting back at home. Spoken about it many times. They are a better home side than they are on the road. Obviously, having to do a fair bit of travel from North Queensland. Home side, well, the home team has won and covered the past 5 in this matchup and performed very well. The Cowboys have won their past 2 at home against Penrith, winning in 2023 round 16 and round 25 in 2022. So that, holds in good stead for the Cowboys here, but I do like Penrith to win. Just not super keen on an almost 10-point line. Penrith have covered 4 of the past 6 and won 5 of the past 7. Interesting also is 5 of the past 6 between these two sides have been decided by 20 plus points. So over the past few years, this matchup has resulted in blowout scores. So kind of think Cowboys are still going to struggle getting back home. A -16, -18, or even -20-point line there on Penrith. That would pay $3-4 plus. Could potentially be a good bet in that game. Dolphins versus Knights. This matchup, well, they had 2 games last season. They split them. Both games, or the Redcliffe won the first game in round 3 by 16 points down in Newcastle. Then the other game they met over in Perth, and Newcastle won that game by 2 points. Both of those went over the total. I do like the over here in this matchup as well at 44.5. Still slightly high. I also do like the Dolphins to cover the -7.5 spread. Haven't decided which way I want to go completely in this matchup. But looking through the numbers, Dolphins still in the #1 attacking side, averaging 28 points a game. I think they can put up a score here against a Newcastle side ranked 11th in points conceded, and they're just ranked 17th in opponent post-contact meters, so worst in the league with giving up meters to the opposition. So Redcliffe should control field position in this game. So the more I kind of think about it and look into this game, most likely going to take the Dolphins -7.5, but am definitely interested in the over as well. And then last game of the round, Canberra at home to the Sharks. Sharks is 7.5-point favorite. Most of the time, Cronulla are favorite for this matchup, even though Raiders have won 9 of the past 11. Sharks have won the past 2, including round 4 this season at PointsBet Stadium, where the Sharks were a 2.5-point favorite. They won by 14 points, and they also won the game right at the end of last season, 24 points to 6. So over recent times, the last 2 meetings, Sharks have started to turn that historical record against Canberra back around. Obviously came out today, Braden Trindle, DUI, etc. So Sharks maybe, or will likely be without their 5/8 for this week, which throws a bit of a spanner into the works. Do like Cronulla to win this game. -7.5 is probably a bet. The over at 43.5 with 13 the past 18 in this matchup going over is definitely tempting. It's probably slightly high. But if Trindle does play for the Sharks, then I'll be taking the line and the over, but more than likely taking the line. So we'll be going with the Dolphins -7.5 and the Sharks -7.5 on Sunday afternoon to close out the round. So those are my early thoughts. Keep an eye out for the videos coming up throughout the week and through the weekend with my plays for the specific games as I lock them in. But those are my early thoughts, and hopefully it gave you some insight into how you can approach betting on the games this weekend. Also, in the bets videos, I also go through the statistics and break down the matchup between two sides, how I think the game is going to unfold, and hence the reason why I'm going with particular bets in that game. So if you like videos like that, if you like making bets on sports based on statistics and actual tangible information, as opposed to just going with gut feelings and how you see a lot of people bet, they pick up on one thing, like this team has a good record, or this team won last week, they had a big win last week, so I'm going to back them this week. You know that's not going to work long term, and you want to make your bets based on decisions, and definitely keep on following the channel. I appreciate the support and the comments you guys leave, and appreciate the videos. Hopefully it's making a difference with your betting. So keep an eye out for the videos. Check out the AFL preview that's been posted as well if you're betting on the AFL throughout this weekend as well. And I'll talk to you guys really soon.